What is an executive MBA? Is an executive MBA equivalent to an MBA? Is an EMBA better than an MBA? These are important questions that cross everyone's mind when they're evaluating an executive MBA program. Today, we have with us just the right guests to understand these questions from a unique perspective. So for our discussion today, we have the Managing Director of SDA Bocconi Asia Center and Marketing Head SDA Bocconi Asia Center, who will share their perspectives on these very important, persistent questions about the executive MBA programs. Good morning, Alessandro, and good morning, Ruchi.
Good morning, Shruti. Thank you for having us for this chat. We'd love to have our side and Bocconi's side, explore a little bit with you. Yeah.
So the questions that we have for you, and you are the best people to address it for us. What is an executive MBA? Is an executive MBA equivalent to an MBA? And is an EMBA better than an MBA? So throughout the conversation, that will be the perspective that we'll try to build from the insights that you share with us.
Sure.
Okay, so let's get started. I'm very curious to hear your take on executive MBAs. What makes them different and the traditional MBA route, and what kind of a professional do you see, thriving in the SDA Bocconi Asia Center, the IEMB program? Do share your thoughts on that.
Shall I go?
Yeah, please.
Well, they are two completely different programs as a concept, maybe not as a curriculum fully, but especially in India, a full-time MBA is directed more to more junior audiences, both in the approach to teaching and in the execution, in the process, which is a full-time. While the executive MBA is for more senior people, especially our executive MBA that has an average of 16 years of work experience. So it's much more senior, and the way of teaching is very different. The people are working, they're still working, and the sessions, the number of hours are less. That means that they have to prepare before the classes, some pre-reads, some material that they have to read. And the class, which is also of a smaller size, is much more interactive. And the way of teaching is extremely interactive. So the reads are done before, then the faculty does a bit of framing, and then there is a lot of interaction. Also because of the nature of the audience, which is with experience, so the interactions are very interesting. They are from different parts of life, so with different perspectives. So it's a total, while the curriculum more or less, if you want, what is taught is similar, but the process and the outcome is totally different.
Yes. And who are the professionals who would really fit in the SDA Bocconi, the IEMB class versus the MBA class? How is the intake different, and who do you look for when you are looking for an executive MBA applicant?
Well, as usual, like we do for the full-time MBA, we love diverse classes because that adds a lot to the experience and to the learning. And so also in the executive MBA, what we like to have is a diverse class, and indeed we have people from very different parts of life. And especially in the executive MBA, where there is more interaction, that really gives a lot of add. So what do we look for? We look for people with relevant experience, with very curious, very committed, because we also understand that though it looks like it's just every other weekend, it's not just that. It is every other weekend you are blocked. And also you have the reads, the pre-reads, and so on. So it's we look for people that are curious, that want really to learn and to give that next step in life by committing to a very good program that needs some commitment.
Yeah, just to add on, to the general idea of somebody who's going to choose an executive MBA. It's always going to be someone who is, of course, a working professional. It can be someone who has taken a break from their work and or the mothers who would want to come back to the workforce, right? So we've had all situations and all sort of applicants in the previous batches as well. We had entrepreneurs in the class right now. The diversity, as he rightly mentioned, has been cherry picked to make sure that the peer-to-peer interaction is absolutely rich, right? When you have small cohorts, it is absolutely important to make sure that we've have a good mix of people, so there is a learning beyond what those functional experts who are in the class can discuss and get more out of the same discussion. Now going back to the question where you said that who's the ideal candidate here. Of course, people who are functional experts who've been in their industry for more than say 9-10 years. So the minimum eligibility for the program is about 9 years. But if you have to look at the broader aspect of it, then we've had about 15 to 16 years of work experience average in the class. Okay, and we've maintained that for a very long time. So it's typically not a very mid-junior sort of a set of people, but it's a good number of people who come here with say between 12 to 18 or 19 years of work experience. And that sets it apart, right? They have been in IT, or they have been in manufacturing, operations, or marketing, etc. And they are on their top game right now, but they are looking to open up their careers for a more managerial or a leadership position in their own organizations, or probably who are ambitious enough to probably switch their careers with different other things. So a lot of people who are more keen on understanding that they really want to push themselves, want to commit time, because that we always keep harping upon, that you're not coming to Bocconi just because you need another certification or a master's, because that is not going to happen. We absolutely believe in the concept of doing the classes as you were back to school, and which is why the whole program is designed in such a way that around a good 70% of the interaction is in person, and the rest 30% is managed in a way that is accessible for them to be live in synchronized classes which are online. So just very ambitious people who are thorough and committed to the program, and who are really looking to be very proactive, not only for themselves but for the rest of the batch, and can go beyond what is really expected out of this learning method that we are trying to put together.
Yeah, thank you. And another question that we are very frequently asked is, is an executive MBA equivalent to an MBA? So there are many perspectives to this. For someone who's weighing an executive MBA, or let's say the executive masters versus the traditional MBA, what are the key questions they should ask themselves to be able to find what is the right path for them?
I think Alessandro can give you a great perspective on how globally it is looked upon, right? So Alessandro, over to you.
Well, we come back a little bit to what we were saying before. The MBA is slightly junior, and is typically, especially here, a path for people that want to speed up the career at the beginning, or shift, come from technical background and want to shift or enhance to managerial roles. While the executive MBA is for more experienced people at a different stage of the career, because also there we see people that want to pivot their careers internally, some that want to shift, some that want to go abroad and are at the verge of being able to go abroad, and an international master helps a lot. So that is there, but it's just a different time of the career. And if you want, also it's a different time of, it's a different way of learning, because these are working professionals, and some of them are also really trying to fill some gaps that they've seen, or update some knowledge that has, after 15 years, maybe needs to be updated. And the fact that they are working allows you to apply what you are taught immediately, because you're taught during the weekend, and for sure the next 2 weeks your head, when you start working, when you go to work, is how can I use that thing already, see if it works. So also the learning, I think it's is much stronger because they come already with a base, they get the update refresh, they apply immediately. So the outcome is totally different and really helps a lot if you want to do that leap and you have some gaps that need to be refreshed or you want to shift.
Yeah. And how does the SDA Bocconi, the IEMB program specifically, weave in the global perspective? Rightly said, it is actually at this point in time in their careers, a lot of people are eyeing global opportunities and preparing themselves for those opportunities. How does the program, refer or address those needs of the individuals? What type of opportunities do they have?
Well, I think our specific program addresses that a lot in multiple ways. First of all, is recognition. SDA Bocconi has been ranked number 3 in the world as an MBA school, so that gives immediately a global recognition. But also the whole curriculum and the faculty that teaches. It's a curriculum that is global by nature, and our faculties are global by nature. They are from, I think, in the Executive MBA, there are some 12 different nationalities that teach along the program. So you have different perspectives that allow you to get a more global approach to the problems. And at the same time, we have some Indian faculties, very good, and a lot of guest speakers, which allow you to understand well in your environment, so to absorb well this global teaching, which is very important because it sometimes, when you get the global perspective, you lose a little bit touch with the reality, while this grounding by local faculties and speakers inside the same course that is taught by the global faculty gives you a bit of both. And this, together with the extremely interactive way of teaching, which is not so normal in India, helps you really to pull out your communication skills, leadership skills that are very much needed in a global environment. So much so that I can tell you the full-time MBA, which is much less strong on these items if you want, we see nevertheless our students that once companies send people abroad, our students are the first ones to be sent abroad because of their enhanced ability to work in multicultural environment and understand that there are different perspectives from which you can see the problems.
Yes,
Also, to just add on,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. Also, just add on, when we are talking about faculties, and he mentioned that there are 12 nationalities, there on the campus to teach the candidates here. But beyond that, I think with the senior class or the executive MBA candidates, it's more of a discussion. So of course we have great research output and the great research that is put into case study methods and very live simulators and all of that. I think most of our faculties are also very, very connected with the corporate. Some of them are into consulting themselves, and some of them have their own companies. They're sitting on boards of a lot of other multinationals. So the idea here I'm trying to put together is that they're not just academicians. They are absolutely so much so in touch with the corporate world and what are the gaps and how could they really make sure that there is an impact to what they are teaching, and that's what really matters. That's something that is modern way of teaching and adapting, and I think that is absolutely fantastic to have when you have your professors who are so well connected with corporates and who are themselves doing consulting for so many businesses, and they are coming back and teaching and giving those live examples to you.
Absolutely. And, career outcomes specifically is something that bothers executives or professionals who are looking at executive MBA programs. So the question is an EMBA better than an MBA? So what type of career support does the IEMB offer to the participants, as well as what is the kind of career trajectory that they typically envision once they have entered the program or they graduate from the SDA Bocconi IEMB program?
Right.
Well, the process is totally different because in a full-time MBA in India, not abroad, but in India, they expect the placement and we give the placement. We have always given everybody the placement and actually also a very good placement, trying to match them with companies with the same kind of culture. In terms of executive MBA, the audience is so diverse and with different needs that we don't give placement at all. But yes, we have a lot of activities that can help placement, from the basic ones, how to do the CVs in a modern way, things like this, to we have the support of a global recruitment firm that does sessions on multiple aspects, and also that gives priority notice to our students if there are matching JDs that are floated in the market. And then there are a lot of networking that is done. Networking for the sake of networking, which is with and the learning, which is with our alumni, and with the global programs that come here, like the Global MBA of Bocconi, the one from Copenhagen Business School, the one from Spain, the one from China. So they get to meet a lot of global people. But also there are a lot of speakers that are invited to teach, for sure, but also somehow with the scope of networking with people that can be interesting in case of professional shift or looking for jobs.
Yeah, so apart from that, just to add on, career impacts when you were talking about, I think we cover a lot of it as a parallel curriculum for us in the program, right? So none of the executive masters or the executive MBAs will ever give you really a full placement service because this is a hybrid program, this is not a full-time program, and you're already a working professional. But what we do in terms of mapping everything since the beginning of it, right? We have Michael Page and some other, executive search firms who have been tied up with us for last couple. I mean, we've had partnerships with them for a lot of other things, but have been closely working with the IEMB that we have. They work with us together. So from starting from industry trends to looking out for opportunities and matching those opportunities with our candidates, prioritizing them, as he said. And besides that, we also do a lot of coaching. So there are coaches which are assigned to the candidates so that they can really assess their career situation. They can do some exercises with their coaches and then, can formulate their path, what next, and how could they really formulate and, make sure that this program, what they have done, is impactful in their next move. So all of that is a very personal conversation for every candidate, and which is why every candidate is given that coach for their assignments to go forward with. Now, besides coaching, there are interview preps if required. There are networkings that happens every now and then. What I think is also very important here is to assess the basics, even from your resume building to understanding that how you would want to improve your scope of profile and how could that be done. So all of those things really, the partnerships with these executive search firms really help. All the headhunters would really make sense of those conversations. So those are the things, and we talk up, and we have, sort of culminated that into an executive career curriculum that we parallelly do with the academic curriculum for the executive MBA program that we have here. We've typically also seen a good 30 to 40% of the batch will either move in the same company, or after 6 months they have moved to another role in another company. So that release of paths do happen. There are, of course, salary hikes which are there internally, and of course when you are moving, but this is typically we have seen, and there is a data that backs up that once they join the program, they have either pitched themselves internally to the companies that they are doing this and they would want to get to the next level, and this is what the outcome is. And that happens absolutely to about a good 70% of the class for sure. Okay, and the rest of the 30%, I'm sure that they are looking out for and they are planning for their paths, but very proactively a lot of folks do it. They take each other's help, they take professors' help, they take the coaching module and their help, and this is absolutely possible. So we've had such major shifts that people have also shifted to other countries, shift from the same company, as he mentioned. People have relocated to different countries because the program that we give here is under ECTS, which is European Credit Transfer System. So we have about 65 credit points that we deliver at the end of this master's, and that becomes like your catalyst to go ahead and crack the other regions and markets across. So that really helps in getting you a PR and so on and so forth. So overall, I think the dynamic of someone doing the career progression is absolutely very personal as to how you want to do it. But over the last few years, or historically, we have seen that change happening in the class for about 70% of the class doing it.
Yes, it's a very personal journey. At 10 or 15 years of work experience, your career growth and career development becomes a very personal matter, and you have to look at it very specifically, whether it is global, Indian, which within your organization or some other organization. So a lot of variables come into the picture. So if they have the executive coaches helping them out in that particular process, as well as asking the right questions, I think they will have a lot of things sorted out at the end of the program. Yes. So coming to the scholarships, scholarships are very important for the executive MBA applicants. There are too many things to handle. And please shed some light on how you evaluate the candidates for the financial aid, and what exactly goes into the scholarships offered by the program.
So
let Ruchi speak about that. We do have some scholarship. Ruchi will tell you how, and I think also the program is very nicely priced, too nicely priced.
So the total fees that we have is about 21 lakhs plus whatever the taxes are. We missed on the conversation that, Bocconi is also one of those schools who give 2 weeks of immersion back in the main campus in Milan. So the whole of the tuition fees is of course covered in this. But besides that, to cover the financial aid or to have some scholarships and tuition waivers, we go up to 30% mark. We have some diversity aspects and diversity points and specific scholarships for people coming from armed backgrounds or Navy and so on and so forth. But besides that, there are also doctors and architects and lawyers in the class sometimes who would jump in and join the class. So some diversity aspect and scholarship is also allocated to those. Now, when I say 30% tuition waiver, now that is applicable on the tuition fees of the program. And the assessment is overall on the profile, which means that we typically will look at your last 6 to 7 years and how that has grown for you and what is your ambition for moving forward. So in the process of it, we also ask for a SOP. Which will then put a light on what your story has been and what you are trying to, get to, or what is your goal next. And that is very, very important. And those are the things that we very, very carefully study and understand before allocating any scholarships or tuition waivers to the candidates. Now, again, being this selective about whole process, there are few things is that how your career transitions in the last few times been. How long, if you have been working in the same company, what have you done in those roles? Have you shifted internally or you have shifted companies? Then what are those transitions? So that whole of the career path is absolutely judged. Then we also have our internal test, which is which we ask all the candidates to go through. And again, this is not about a very academic per se of a test, but it is just to understand your ability, that if you could fit into the learning that we are trying to put together for you. And if you are not, then which clearly means that you will not be able to, handle that pressure or probably do the best out of it for yourself and for others. So to make sure that, there is a sort of generalization or normalization at the back end of it, we do have this test, which is an equivalence for us in terms of GRE or a GMAT. So we do accept GMAT and GRE as well from 2021 onward. So 3 years validity for GMAT and GRE. And if you don't have any of that, then you can give our test as well. Then there is a personal interview that is there. So 3 steps: submission of your application with SOP and your CVs. Second is the test that will be scheduled, and third and the last one will be your personal interview. So the personal interviews can be with alumni, can be with senior management folks, or can be with the faculties. Once those steps of all the assessments are done, it goes to the scholarship and tuition waiver committee, who then decides upon what kind of allocation can be put together with the rest of the cohort which is already enrolled or is in process. So you are always going to get benchmark with the previous cohort and with the existing pool of applicants that you are contending with, because the overall structure of scholarship and tuition waiver, we will have a certain budget to it. So the earlier you apply, the higher the chances of you getting that allocation, because the funds are still intact. The later you go, the funds would start being allocated to someone else, and the idea of you getting that will be a little bit harder than the previous time or the previous round. So yeah, personal interview, the test, the SOP, and of course your trajectory, your growth trajectory, or your career path that is assessed for the overall scholarships and tuition waivers. And this is the same that we assess for, of course, the selection of the candidate as well.
Yes. So coming to the next part of the discussion, what are the deadlines that are coming up, and how can one plan their application? Your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So again, this is something that we have seen, and in fact that people who are taking up or thinking of executive MBA have been thinking for like at least 2 years or 3 years, and then they finally come to a consensus that, oh, now this year I have to start and I have to do. So there is never going to be a right time for it, honestly, because if you want to do it, it has to be now, or you will keep pushing it. So there is no right and wrong time to this. But when you are looking at any application systems, or applying to any school, etc., a good time to really get through, understand the school, to apply and all of that, a good 20-25 days should be good enough. So even if you are starting your application now, and the next deadline for us is 30th of June, then there is a 31st July deadline, and our course starts in October mid. So why so much of gap here is because also to understand that once you have your offer letter with you, with your scholarships and financial details, if you would want to apply for loan, or if you want to then schedule your otherwise work in a way that you can manage the program and your work, so all of that becomes really easy. So the earlier you apply, I think you can manage your time very well and understand the scope of it extremely well. So 30th June and 31st July is what our next deadlines are going to be. A good turnaround time once you start your application to submitting your application and going through the selection process is also about 20 days or so, till the time you receive your result or your offer letter on the system. Then you get about 14 days to accept that offer and to pay the initial amount to block your seat.
Yes. Thank you, Ruchi. Thank you, Alessandro, for your time today. This has clarified a lot of questions that we have around the thought process of pursuing an executive MBA at all. We have webinars which talk about the process and the program, but this goes beyond that, gives us very unique ideas of how we should think about the executive MBA at all. Thank you for your time today, and I'll catch up with you for another discussion shortly.